Hello, welcome to day of reading through the Bible. I'm Toni Henderson-Mayers. I'll be your reader. I'm known as an actor, a director, producer, professor, but most important, I'm a child of God. And I'm also known as an entrepreneur too, as well. If you want to know more about me, join my Toni Henderson-Mayers YouTube channel. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe and ring the notification bell for that channel and this one so you'll know every time I upload a new video. So, you ready to read God's word? Let's go. All right, so now we're on 2nd Samuel 8 and 9 and 1st Chronicle 18. Let's read. Second Samuel 8. David's victories. In the course of time, David defeated the Philistines, and subdued them. And he took Metheg Ammah from the control of the Philistines. David also defeated the Moabites. He made them lie down on the ground and measured them off with a length of cord. Every 2 lengths of them were put to death, and the third length was allowed to live. So the Moabites became subject to David and brought him tribute. Moreover, David defeated Hadaezer, son of Rehob, king of Zobah, when he went to restore his monument at the Euphrates River. David captured 1,000 of his chariots, 7,000 charioteers, and 20,000 foot soldiers. He hamstrung all but 100 of the chariot horses. When the Arameans of Damascus came to help Hadaezer, king of Zobah, David struck down 22,000 of them. He put garrisons in the Aramean kingdom of Damascus, and the Arameans became subject to him and brought tribute. The Lord gave David victory wherever he went. David took the gold shields that belonged to the officers of Hadaezer and brought them to Jerusalem from Tebah and Bethrothai, towns that belonged to Hadaezer. King David took a great quantity of bronze. When Tou, king of Hamath, heard that David had defeated the entire army of Hadaezer, he sent his son Joram to King David to greet him and congratulate him on his victory in battle over Hadaezer, who had been at war with Tou. Joram brought him articles of silver, gold, and bronze. King David dedicated these articles to the Lord, as he had done with the silver and gold from all the nations he had subdued: Edom and Moab, the Ammonites and the Philistines and Amalek. He also dedicated the plunder taken from Hadaezer, son of Rehob, king of Zobah. And David became famous after returned from striking down 18,000 Edomites in the Valley of Salt. He put garrisons throughout Edom, and all the Edomites became subject to David. The Lord gave David victory wherever he went. David's officials. David reigned over all Israel, doing what was just and right for all his people. Joab, son of Zeruiah, was over the army. Jehoshaphat, son of Ahilud, was recorder. Zadok, son of Attahub, and of Ahimelech, son of Abiathar, were priests. Sariah was secretary. Benaiah, son of Jehodiah, was over the Kerites and the Pelethites, and David's sons were priests. David and Mephibosheth. David asked, "Is there anyone still left of the house of Saul to whom I can show kindness for Jonathan's sake?" Now there was a servant of Saul's household named Ziba. They summoned him to appear before David, and the king said to him, "Are you Ziba?" "At your service," he replied. The king asked, "Is there no one still alive from the house of Saul to whom I can show God's kindness?" Ziba answered the king, "There is still a son of Jonathan. He is lame in both feet." "Where is he?" the king asked. Ziba answered, "He is at the house of Machir, son of Amiel, in Lo Debar." So King David had him brought from Lo Debar, from the house of Machir, son of Amiel. When Mephibosheth, son of Jonathan, the son of Saul, came to David, he bowed down to pay him honor. David said, Mephibosheth, at your service, he replied. "Don't be afraid," David said to him, "for I will surely show you kindness for the sake of your father, Jonathan. I will restore to you all the land that belonged to your grandfather Saul, and you will always eat at my table." Mephibosheth bowed down and said, "What is your servant that you should notice a dead dog like me?" Wow. Then the king summoned Ziba, Saul's steward, and said to him, "I have given your master's grandson everything that belonged to Saul and his family. You and your sons and your servants are to farm the land for him and bring in the crops so that your master's grandson may be provided for. And Mephibosheth, grandson of your master, will always eat at my table." Now Ziba had 15 sons and 20 servants. Then Ziba said to the king, "Your servant will do whatever my lord the king." I'm sorry, I wasn't ready. I was into it. I'll read that sentence for you. Then Ziba said to the king, "Your servant will do whatever my lord the king commands his servant to do." So Mephibosheth ate at David's table like one of the king's sons. Mephibosheth had a young son named Micah, and all the members of Ziba's house were servants of Mephibosheth. And Mephibosheth lived in Jerusalem because he always ate at the king's table. He was lame in both feet. Okay, now we're going to skip to First Chronicles 18. Let me just set up a little bit here. David's victories. In the course of time, David defeated the Philistines and subdued them, and he took Gath and its surrounding villages from the control of the Philistines. David also defeated the Moabites, and they became subject to him and brought him tribute. Moreover, David defeated Hadaezer, king of Zobah, in the vicinity of Hamath, when he went to set up his monument at the Euphrates River. David captured 1,000 of his chariots, 7,000 charioteers, and 20,000 foot soldiers. He hamstrung all but 100 of the chariot horses. When the Arameans of Damascus came to help Hadaezer, king of Zobah, David struck down 22,000 of them. He put garrisons in the Aramean kingdom of Damascus, and the Arameans became subject to him and brought him tribute. The Lord gave David victory wherever he went. David took the gold shields carried by the officers of Hadaezer and brought them to Jerusalem from Tebah and Kun, towns that belonged to Hadaezer. David took a great quantity of bronze, which Solomon used to make the bronze sea, the pillars, and various bronze articles. When Tou, king of Hamath, heard that David had defeated the entire army of Hadaezer, king of Zobah, he sent his son Hadoram to King David to greet him and congratulate him on his victory in battle over Hadaezer, who had been at war with Tou. Hadoram brought all kinds of articles of gold, of silver, and of bronze. King David dedicated these articles to the Lord, as he had done with the silver and gold he had taken from all these nations: Edom and Moab, the Ammonites and the Philistines and Amalek. Abishai, son of Zeruiah, struck down 18,000 Edomites in the valley of Salt. He put garrisons in Edom, and all the Edomites became subject to David. The Lord gave David victory wherever he went. David's officials. David reigned over all Israel, doing what was just and right for all his people. Joab, son of Zeruiah, was over the army. Jehoshaphat, son of Ahilud, was recorder. Zadok, son of Ahitub, and Ahimelech, son of Abiathar, were priests. Shavasha was secretary. Benaiah, son of Jehoiada, was over the Ketherites and the Pelethites, and David's sons were chief officials at the king's side. May the Lord add a blessing to the reading of his holy word. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe and ring that notification bell so you know every time I upload a new video. What I noticed in these two readings, just like I think last time that we visited Second Samuel and First Chronicles, is that through this chronological reading of the Bible, what they did in this instance and the instance before that was similar to this is that they had us read passages that sounded identical. In other words, they were the identical stories, but from two different perspectives. And I even noticed that some of the officers, the names was similar, but it was a fuller name. Like one was Shemaiah, and before it was like a shorter. It began with an S, but it was a shorter name. I noticed also too that the story between what he said with the officers in the war, same exact story, but you may have gotten more information in Chronicles after we read it in Samuel. But that's just like anything else. If both of us witness a fire, I may have my story. It's the same story, but I may have a different version of it from where I was standing. So if I was standing further back, I could only tell you what I could see from the whole picture. But I could possibly see somebody walking from behind the house, um, which could have been a suspect, possibly who an arson. But if I was standing, somebody else is standing closer to the building, they may have not have seen the person come from the side. And they also may have more information about who was actually in the house or who was being brought out of the house or how hot the flame was because of the proximity. And so that's what we're seeing here in these scriptures where you hear basically the identical story. It's the same story, but maybe from a different perspective. Somebody may know a fuller name, like when I noticed this name was a fuller name, because they may have known the person's whole name, versus Samuel's account, versus the account in Chronicles. And so that was very interesting to see that. And you'll see that also too. And you guys know this probably already because we're talking to Bible scholars, but we're just talking it out. And you can let me know in the chat too, other instances where you see this. I was going to mention the four gospels, the birth of Jesus. You may hear it mentioned in other gospel accounts, but in some accounts you get more information, and in some accounts, some information is left out. And that's only because that person either wasn't there or didn't know about that, or was just guided to write only about a certain thing. So it's always so good to get those different versions because it makes the story complete. Okay. And then we know sometimes you may not know that the chief priests were David's sons, okay? And in another account, they will tell you what sons, because David had a lot of sons, which two sons were the chief priests. So it's just very interesting to know. But I love that story of I can't say his name right without looking at the name, Mephibosheth. And we gonna call him Met for short. Okay. That was Jonathan's son. That was the same son that we read about not too long ago, where the nurse, when she heard about what was going on, In a hurry, she grabbed the boy. I guess it was a baby at the time, or one or two or something like that. But she dropped him while she was running, and I don't know if she was running from a height or what. But when she dropped him, he became lame. So he was not lame at birth, but because of a terrible accident. And it was a lot of commotion going on, and she's trying to run with him, and she drops him. But David loved Jonathan, and some people try to make that relationship into a relationship that it wasn't. You know, they try to make it into a homosexual type relationship. But there's people that we love, and women can attest to this all the time. We have girlfriends that we love. We just love them, and we love them like sisters. And I think in this American culture, sometimes we don't know how to take same-sex relationships without making it sexual. Even sometimes relationships with male and female, we try to always make everything sexual, and it's not. But David loved Jonathan. And you know, Jonathan, maybe one day I'll do a study on the individual people. But here he is, an amazing person. He was next to the throne. His father was king. And in kingdoms, usually the son is the next. If he's the oldest, he's the heir to the throne. And Saul had a jealousy of David only after he heard women singing that David killed Saul killed his thousands, but David killed his tens of thousands. But Jonathan, the son of Saul, the son of the king, was never jealous of David. He just loved him. They became really good friends, best buds. And he was the vehicle in which David learned how to become a king because Jonathan lived in royalty. He grew up in royalty. David tended sheep. He had no idea. He didn't know what fork to carry. He didn't know the customs. He didn't know how to carry himself throughout the palace. He didn't have the clothes. He didn't have any of that. But Jonathan loved him and taught him the ways and helped prepare him for his destiny. And to see David, even in the death of Jonathan, to remember his relationship that he loved him so much. This is when you know people really love you, when they'll take care of your kids, honey. And he said, is there anybody in the house of Saul that I can be good to? And here this lame child of Jonathan's, when in this day you would be put aside and your life was just utterly ruined. You know, if you were lamed or had any problems like that, for David to come and show kindness to him because he loved his father. His father was his friend. They were close, and his father was good to him. And he remembered that. See, sometimes we can be good to people, honey, and they don't remember a thing. But he remembered how good his father was to him, and he turned that goodness to his friend's son. And this man never had to worry about being lamed. Everything was taken care of, and he was treated like the royalty that he grew up in, that he would have been a successor to the line. You know, it would have went to Jonathan, and then from Jonathan, it would have went to Mephibosheth. It would have went to him. But because of an unfortunate sequence of events, it did not. But David never forgot him, and he was blessed for the rest of his days. What a great, great, great ending and story. Mm. Somebody may be going through something right now. You may think this is the end, but your story is not over. God can still show the love and honor that you really deserve and that he wants to show you. You may have lost it, but he can still restore it for you. Well, I gotta go. Visit me on the web at www.tonihendersonmayers.com and know that the word of God is a lamp unto our feet. It is a light unto our path. We will hide God's word in our hearts that we may not sin against God. Take care, and I'll see you tomorrow, God willing. Bye. Hey there. Thank you so much for checking out my video, and I want you to check out my website at tonihendersonmayers.com. You can find out about me in film and stage. You can also find out about the wise courtship philosophy and everything that I do, speaking across the country, and the book that I've written. And of course, you can go on to my online store where you can learn a lot of information about business, get coaching sessions, online courses, and so much more. Not only that, I have an Etsy store, which the website of all of these things are in my description. So make sure you go to my Etsy shop, which is called Faith, Hope, and Love Center. Make sure you go to that so you can get t-shirts, and I'm adding things every day, t-shirts, mugs, masks, all types of things, into the link that's going to take you to all of the books that we're using pretty much in our Read Through the Bible series. So here are the journals. This reflection journal is so that you can write and take notes. This one has a lot of study information and will help you keep organized as you're studying the Bible. This is the Bible that I read from, the NIV Study Bible. Of course, Wise Courtship is here, and some of the other books that I wrote, Yes, God is Real, and also I Rise, Stories of Triumph. It's just a great encouragement tool. So walk on over to the stores and give us some support. I think you're going to be blessed by the products. Take care.